All right, welcome to another episode of Fading X Rated. Back episode 2 of season 1 of our rebrand for the third time, maybe fourth time. Kind of feel like the intro to Bob's Burgers, where every time you see the intro, there's a new storefront right next to Bob's Burgers. But we gonna find a way somehow, some way. We gonna put out content, whatever iteration we do it in. So you have your host today, me, your boy Day, and then we got Kip in the background.
You're
All right, once Kip decides to show his face like he's Drake baby, we'll have him on the screen. Right now, he's just a Wizard Kelly icon, so we'll leave him off screen for now. But let's get into things. As we all know, the Super Bowl just passed. We kind of touched on the Super Bowl last week on the two teams between the Kansas City Chiefs and San Francisco 49ers, and we kind of gave you all our thoughts on what each team needed to do to win and what we thought would be the outcome of the game. So, as you all know, Kansas City Chiefs did end up winning. This game did end up going into overtime, which I think this is only the second case for a Super Bowl where it has gone into overtime. They did win by 3 points. A little different on how the overtime rules are in the Super Bowl. I'm not sure if it's in the playoffs altogether or just specifically the Super Bowl. But we'll get into that a little later. So Kip, just right off the bat, what was your thoughts of the game? Did you enjoy watching it? Was it what you anticipated? What's your thoughts on this last Super Bowl?
I'll start with as far as enjoyment value. I think that it was a pretty okay Super Bowl. I'll give it like a I don't know, maybe like a C plus grading on the scale. I think mainly reason being is that there wasn't much in the realm of big plays. No, it was real traditional football. It was really like, okay, we're gonna put our defense on the field and we're gonna take the points that we can get type of situation,
Right.
which is definitely not what football is. Football is an attempt to be the high scoring affair, which is good and which is can be bad. But I think it did play out pretty much how we perceived to go and play out. Ultimately we kind of, if I'm not mistaken, we did go for the Chiefs winning the Super
Yeah.
Bowl, even though we didn't necessarily want them to win. We did go ahead and project that they would end up winning the game.
Can't bet
Um,
against Pat.
yeah, I think that ultimately also that I think the other aspect of it is that what was I going to say? Um, I think that ultimately played out how Chiefs Super Bowl does play out. Ultimately if I'm not mistaken, all the Super Bowls were close games. If I'm not mistaken, maybe the last one wasn't. I think the last one was too. But it comes down to a few plays, like we mentioned. Patrick Mahomes using his legs in the playoffs, like he's done every other time. Making those crucial throws, and we saw on full display when it needed to happen. Andy Reid's creativity come into full effect when they needed it. In OT, they needed it, they got it, and they got their dub. So even though I wasn't going for them to win, shout out to them. They pulled it together. They got a repeat. You know, Patrick Mahomes on number 3. Let's see where we go from there.
Yeah.
Um, I'll let you go ahead and get your points off, and then we can talk
Yeah.
about the rest of the game as well.
Gotcha. So I just wanted to kind of recap on where we discussed last week on what each team needed to do to win. So off the bat, Kansas City did exactly what they needed to do with not putting Kadarius Toney in the game, which was one of my points. Keep him out of that game to limit as many mistakes as you can, right? So that was one. So they already checked that box. The second thing I said that they need to do was limit Christian McCaffrey. So they, I wouldn't say they limit Christian McCaffrey, but San Francisco kind of went away from going to Christian McCaffrey. So I guess you can check that off for Kansas City as well, because obviously there's a reason why San Fran or Kyle Shanahan felt like he needed to um, try to involve other people. and that kind of gets into your point on what you said that Kansas City needed to do was Kyle Shanahan needed to get out of his own way, which he failed to do because that second half of offense from San Francisco looked terrible. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't as structured and planned out as you would thought. And again, that could be credit to the Kansas City Chiefs for making the proper second half adjustments. You know, Spagnuolo, believe I'm pronouncing his name correctly for the Kansas City defensive coordinator. He's a defensive mastermind, right? So he knows how to make the correct schemes and give the quarterback looks that kind of detours them from making like their go-to plays. I'm not sure if there was many turnovers there. I know Christian McCaffrey fumbled early in the game, but I don't think at that point it hindered them and put them in a bad spot where now we're trailing, because they did go into halftime with a lead. And again, Kyle Shanahan, maybe he just needs to play from behind because pause on that. But he can't seem to hold the lead, and I kind of understand that, right? I mean, not maybe in sports, but like as an athlete. So I ran track in high school, and I would hate getting the baton in the relay in the league, right? Because it's hard to set the pace for yourself. You can't really see where everyone is at, and then or you may hear the crowd, let you know someone on that ass. So always for me, it was always better for me to run with someone in front of me because it's I'm always the person that likes to run someone down. So I don't know. 0-3 in the Super Bowl when you're leading,
that's tough record.
That's tough.
I said I wanted to say now I think about it. I think we can now say that Kyle Shanahan is who Doc Rivers is. He's the Doc Rivers of the NFL. He is the Doc Rivers. Like, you have a good team, have a good record, you have the pieces that you need, you get up, and then you get knocked right the fuck down. I just realized that. But yeah, getting back to it a little bit about the game, I definitely like the overtime rule. I think that the NFL in general needs to get rid of the tie. There should be no ties in the NFL games. It's the stupidest shit in the world. And yeah, I guess it's left there for the built up suspense, but just get rid of it. Like literally get rid of it. And they should do the OTs just like they do in the playoffs this year. I love the fact is, like they said, that each team has the opportunity to get the ball unless the defense scores, which makes sense. Defense goes out there, they get a touchdown. That shit try, they score, this game over, game blossoms. I never liked the idea of the sudden death. Like, I get it, you kick the ball off, your defense has to stop them, but I think that ultimately it adds more tension when you, let's say, for example, I'm not too sure how they did it in the playoffs this time. Did they do it? I don't know. Did they kick off before OT or was it not?
I believe they kicked off. Yeah, okay. they kicked off.
So I would say if you don't kick off and then you start from the 50 and try to work your way into the end zone, that would be good too. But if they kick it off, that's fine. As long as they give them both the opportunity to do it, because I think that when you do that sudden death shit, it kind of puts teams that don't have a great defense in a bad position, if that makes sense. Like, your defense may get a stop, but if your defense isn't that good, they're going to get scored on, especially if they going into overtime rate with their heads held low. They're going to get scored on. Like, make it like you already want this to be a high scoring affair. Why not just go ahead and just let offenses get the opportunity to go ahead and do it? So that's just my thought process on that. So I did love that idea of each team gets the ball. Like you said, ultimately, the Chiefs made the plays. The 49ers didn't make their plays. There was definitely some throws that Brock Purdy could have made that would have made this game a different game.
That pass to Debo, yeah. You got the kicker missing the extra point or some shit. Didn't he miss extra point?
That was extra point. Yep. Yeah, so he'd made an extra point. That game would have been over. He'd have been up by one. They would have been forced to go ahead and score a touchdown earlier.
Yeah, right. It wouldn't have been a chance to tie with the field goal. I do have a question. So, like the overtime rules, was it for the full playoff or was it just for the Super Bowl? Because as
Mhm.
the 49ers said, they weren't aware that the overtime rules changed, right? So I think that should be something to take forward. Like if these rules are just for the playoffs or just for the Super Bowl, that leading up to the game, this should be communicated to both teams because even the Chiefs didn't know that. Well, Miko Hardman didn't seem like he knew that that touchdown was the game scoring, and San Francisco actually won the coin toss. So and they accepted it. So I'm thinking if they may have known what the new rules were, that each team has the opportunity to score a touchdown, that they may have would have deferred it to Kansas City to get the ball first. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah,
like
that's possible.
if I win the coin toss and I know the other team still is going to have the opportunity to score, I'm not going to accept the ball first because I don't know how
What you
they're
need to
going to
do.
exactly right.
Yeah,
So
better odds
now
if you do it that way.
if Kansas City scored, now you know you gotta score. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it kind of throws that monkey wrench in the mix, and also like when the Kansas City scored, there was like 3 seconds left on the clock. The clock would have continued to go into a new quarter, technically, if they didn't score when they did. So it wouldn't have just been game over. They would have still had more time to score. So, and I don't think they might have known that either. But that's what I remember hearing the announcer say that it continues on like it's a new game, just to allow both teams that ability to score. So I thought that was interesting. I think they need to make sure that at least for the Super Bowl, if this is just going to be rules for the Super Bowl for overtime, that each team knows prior. Like there's like a sign off that all right, the NFL and the referees have gone through so and so to inform the teams participating in the Super Bowl that these are the rules for overtime if overtimes were to happen.
Well, I was definitely while you were saying that I was definitely looking into it, and I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna go ahead and honestly take the ref side in the situation. That I think that that information would have been conveyed to them in some way, shape, or form. I think that ultimately, I don't know how many times they've been overtime in Super Bowl. I think maybe the Falcons Super Bowl was the other one, Falcons versus Patriots. Did that go to overtime? Okay, no.
That
Either
was in regulation.
either way, the the rule was actually changed this past season, from what I could see, and it shows. Bear with me one moment. That should have been that actually is a playoff rule, not just the Super Bowl rule. So that each team gets possession of the playoff rule. Now I'm happy that they actually went ahead and did that, but I think there should be, and this is just me being me. I think it should be uniform throughout the entire season. Why just do it for a certain point, not for the entirety of the point? That's kind of stupid to do. But either way, I think that they each had the opportunity to get the ball and each had the opportunity to score. I do agree that there were some plays that were drastically missed on the side of, oh, well, in favor of the Chiefs as far as holding and shit like that. There was some definitely some plays that there were some holds, and people will go ahead and say, "Oh, it's holding on every play." Just because it happens on every play does not make it right. Like you feel me? Like if not all holds are made the same. You feel me? Like ultimately, if you're a perennial pass rusher that is a dog and some get to that quarterback, if you're being held, that matters more than if you're a guy who's not really getting there, or you might not get there and you get held. Now, granted, I still believe the flag should be thrown because the fact is at the end of the day, you shouldn't be holding, but
Yeah.
ultimately it definitely hurts more when your top player is a defensive end and he's being held. Like
Yeah.
that definitely doesn't help your
But they
defense
said no
be
holding
effective.
calls on the O line.
I
I was
don't
looking up. I was looking up a weird stat, and it was like in the Super Bowl, you see like because the Chiefs this year was like probably one of the most penalized offensive line for holding, and
mhm.
they didn't get any in the players. And we seen like just like you mentioned, we seen clear cases where right
They were
tackle
holding.
Jawan something was holding Nick Bosa the whole game. Like you can't even be mad at say, oh, Nick Bosa hadn't made an impact. How can he make an impact when he's getting held all game and they're not calling any penalties because they letting it rock in the Super Bowl? Like you gotta
Yeah.
be
That shit
consistent
matters.
throughout. Yeah,
Like
like
it's not like Nick Bosa is not like put it this way. That's like if the Steelers are in the Super Bowl and
and
somebody's
TJ,
throwing TJ Watt every
yeah,
play.
yeah,
That because we can see what happens with the Steelers when TJ Watt not playing or not having a good
yep,
game. They are
yep.
completely a good
Or
different
or
defense.
Aaron Donald.
Exactly.
It's
So
multiple players where
if
like
you
their
get
best
held,
player is on
it's
that
going to diminish
offensive
that
line.
defense. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you feel me? Like I feel like that excuse that ultimately happens on every play, so therefore it shouldn't matter. Like no, you feel me? Like shit like that does matter.
Yeah.
And some people may go tit for tat, like oh, if we don't go that, then this could be done. No, like it's not a this or that situation. None of this shit should happen. They should
Yeah.
call things uniformly as they occur because when we can see a call and it's a legitimate call, we
Hmm.
as fans will accept that call. There's gonna be people that's gonna be delusional and be like, no, no, this and the third. But ultimately, if I see a holding, and even if it's my team, if I see
Yeah.
the hold, it's a hold. I can't go ahead and argue with what they did. You offsides, I can't argue that. Now, I will say that there's some discrepancy with it. Like, okay, usually you get told to move back rather than you getting the penalty offside, like how it happened to Tony. I get
Hmm.
that. There's some penalties that man, like that really didn't really have an impact on the game. Him lining up both sides or lining up on the ball didn't make Kelsey catch the ball, didn't make him get the ball faster. It didn't have any impact on it. But holding definitely has impact on it. That
Yeah.
directly impedes somebody from getting there. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the Super Bowl.
Yeah. I just read actually that even though the players didn't know the overtime rules, Kyle Shanahan knew the implications, right? So if they were to when he wanted to take the ball, because at let's say if both teams scored a touchdown, right, then it's the next score wins the game. So
Mm-hmm.
he wanted to have that third possession so that if they were to score, then it's game over. Um, but yeah. Anyway, it was a okay game. You gave it a C plus. I'll probably be in the same
Same
uh
category.
same category, same ballpark.
Okay.
Um, I'm a defensive player. I love when defenses show up, but not for the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
I
it
wanted
takes
to be
away from it a little bit.
48-45 as a total
Now,
score. I don't. Yeah,
I
go.
will say this. I agree. I will say this. If the defense is balling out and it's like a defensive battle, defenses better go ahead and they better be picks caught. There better
Hmm.
be sacks being made. There got to be at least one or two defensive touchdowns being done for it
Yeah,
to be an entertaining game. You can't
yeah,
like even if it's a defensive game, there's ways for a defensive game to be exciting.
yeah,
Like that, I won't say it was unexciting. It wasn't. It wasn't like I'll say this. It wasn't like the Rams versus Patriots Super Bowl. That
yeah. That
shit.
was boring. What was that? 14,
Yes.
13-3, 16 point total score.
Yeah, it was some
That
shit
was
like that.
terrible.
And I'm pretty sure like them 16 points, a lot of it was field goals too. So
Yeah.
so
Hmm.
yeah, that wasn't entertaining at all.
Yeah.
That was not it.
And to kind of touch on the Kansas City Super Bowl, they just recently had their parade. I'm sure everyone heard about it. Where
Mm.
at the conclusion of the parade, there were two, I believe they said juveniles, like they were young kids, began shooting up the parade. I'm not sure what the count is. I know there's 20 plus people hurt. I know one person died. Um, it's that's just sad though. You know what I mean? Like people going out there to celebrate the team and the success of the team, and then we just got people just wanting to cause pain on others. So we do send our condolences over to the people impacted, the people that were all there, because it's a traumatic event. Now you don't you especially if you had your kids there. Now you can't feel safe about bringing your kids anywhere. Like you don't know when something like that can happen again. So it does bring on that additional stress of trying to get out and enjoy your life. So again, my condolences to all of those people impacted. I hope people that were there that were around the area where it was going down, can get back to some sort of normalcy in time. So yeah,
Yeah, I'm
sad,
definitely with you
sad
there.
shit.
And I definitely agree with you. Like ultimately, it's sad that people are trying to go out and enjoy their time.
Yeah,
With their friends. They're trying to be fans of the game. You want to go ahead and celebrate with your city and have a good time, but ultimately things are things happen that are out of your control
Mm-hmm.
that legitimately stop you from being able to go ahead and have that fun. And that's so crazy that, it sounds crazy because the fact is, I'm just like, it is so normal, or for lack of better words, normal. It is so just Monday activity that
Mm-hmm.
we have shootouts and shit like that at events that, ultimately we should be having a good time at.
Yep.
I think that any fan, even if your team lost in the Super Bowl or what's called, nobody would ever want to see that happen to another sports fan. This is like bigger than sports. Ultimately, somebody's life was tragically lost. So I once again, like you said, I send my condolences to her family. Um, Her name escapes me right now, but ultimately, and if I'm not mistaken, she was a newscaster, I believe. She was, I think, a
Damn.
newscaster or something to that effect. But ultimately, what it boils down to is just that, we continuously have to get to these points where we are having these conversations about, you know, people hurting one another. Like it isn't like, and sorry to say it like this, but it's not like this is a person that got beef with somebody and this in the street and this and the third. This is people out there literally just looking to have fun and enjoy their time with the city. This is
Yep.
probably the close. They probably will never get to go to a football game, but they got the opportunity to see their team's players out and about. You feel me? Like, not everybody
Yep.
has the opportunity to go to these games, and they will never see Patrick Mahomes because the fact is they don't have the opportunity to. So you go to the parade to go ahead and see your team, go ahead and celebrate with the community, and stuff like this happens, and it's tragic to say the least.
Definitely.
It definitely isn't okay. Hopefully, and I'm happy that those people, because I was watching the news about that. It was a guy who was there, a
Mm-hmm.
bystander who was there, who actually tackled one of the alleged suspects. And
Yep.
shout out to him. Ultimately, shout out to him. I'm happy that he's able to make it home to his family. And you're a hero for that. So clap it up for you, because no, absolutely, we do appreciate that, because nobody wants to go ahead and get a call that their family member was taken.
Right.
Nobody. That's that. Like, honestly, as a parent or as a loved one of somebody who is honestly out on a Monday just doing what they're doing, the last thing you want to do is get a call that evening or that afternoon that you lost somebody because somebody else had some whatever you want to call it. I don't know, mental health episode. I don't know. I can't say that. It's just whoever's doing any type of stupidity out in the streets to go ahead and take somebody from somebody. People think that this shit's a game, that it's a reset button and stuff like that is able to be swept under the rug.
Mm-hmm.
You're affecting not only the lives of the people that are directly in contact with that person you take, but you also mess up your family's life, because the fact is your family now has to deal with the scrutiny that comes along with it, and they can't see you no more because the fact that you're locked up. So it has a widespread effect, and it ripples.
Yeah.
So yeah, not to talk the air out of the ball, but yeah, it's just silly to me that this is a thing that we have to deal with and we have to address at this point.
Right. Yeah. These guns out in the street need to be handled somehow. I don't know how, but something got to give, because a lot of
Absolutely.
innocent people losing their lives over dumb shit. Um, just to change topics a little bit, although it still be related to the Super Bowl. Let's talk about the Usher halftime show. So one of the things I didn't anticipate was Alicia Keys coming out. Don't think My Boo is a Super Bowl song at all, but here we are. So let's talk about it. So let's talk about the songs that he performed. So I know for a fact he performed Superstar, which is his best song. I think everyone would agree Superstar is his best song to date.
At me if it ain't.
What's up?
I said at me if it ain't.
Right,
Look crazy if you
exactly.
don't think so.
We can fight about it. So he performed that. He performed "Oh My God," which I want to bet with Paige, because she said, "I don't see no reason why you gonna bring Will I Am out for 10 seconds on a song. Guess what they did? Bro, Will I Am out ass for 10 seconds for Oh
Yeah,
My God.
that was a bad bet by her.
And,
I ain't taking
and
that advice from her.
did you see this nigga Usher skated underneath this nigga between his niggas'
Oh yeah,
legs?
that was wild. That was wild. That was
It
a
was,
big one.
it was a lot going on. We're going to unpack some of it, but it was a lot going on. They performed, yeah. We're gonna talk about yeah a little bit later too, just based off a new discovery we figured out. So Lil Jon Luda came out for yeah. Did he bring anyone else out? He broke out her. Her performed the guitar, or may not have performed the
Cat.
guitar.
I'll say cat.
We don't know. We know she can play the guitar.
Yes,
We know she can
definitely
sing
can.
very well. But I don't know if she was playing the guitar night of. Overall, I think it was it brought some life to the Super Bowl, right? Because going into halftime, it wasn't
Much energy.
a lot of energy or interesting game to say the least. I was going for like most of the first quarter because I was picking up food for halftime, and I came back. It was only 3-0 end of the first quarter. I'm like, I didn't miss anything. Like this is I could have still been out, and nothing would have changed. So I think it was really good. I think Jay-Z taking over for the entertainment phase of the NFL and the halftime shows has been really well. Did he start with Dr. Dre? Was that his first?
No, I think his first was the
Rihanna?
Travis Scott Maroon 5.
When did Travis Scott perform?
Maroon 5. I think it was the year after that. So let me see. I forgot what Super Bowl that was. Was that the Rams Super Bowl when they had Jared Goff? I think it was.
Nah, he ain't been in control that long. It was like after the George Floyd situation. He took over in 2019. Let's see. 2019 halftime show. So far we know he did Usher. He had Rihanna.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to go backwards. 2021 Super Bowl.
Nah, I'll tell you right now, it's the 2019 Super Bowl was the one with Travis Scott. So I want to say it was 2020.
Yeah,
I want to say 2020. That would make
so he had Dr. Dre. He had Dr. Dre. He had The Weeknd after. That sounds crazy. The Weeknd. He had The Weeknd, comma. After that, he had Rihanna. No, who's 2022? No, Rihanna's 2022, right?
Yes, that was last year.
Yeah, so
2022, 2023.
This year, Usher. Last year, Rihanna. Year before, The Weeknd. Year before, Dr. Dre, Kendrick, Eminem, all of them. I think he's been
super out of order. Let me go ahead and go through this list for you.
I am.
You out of order.
Give me the corrections.
So 2020 Super Bowl was J-Lo and Shakira.
Okay.
2021 was The Weeknd.
22 is Dre and them.
Yes, 2022. That was in SoFi.
Yeah.
And 2023, which last year was Rihanna, and now
I keep forgetting we ain't 24. That's what's fucking me up.
Yeah,
I'm thinking of it. Yeah.
Retroactively.
All right. I think those are all. I mean, you said J-Lo was his first one.
I want to say it was maybe that one, but I'll take a look at that. But continue what you're saying. I'll find that out for you.
I mean, I think the songs I can remember J-Lo perform just wasn't it for me. But she was also sharing it with Shakira, right? You said Shakira.
Yes.
So it's like, all right, but the last 4 fire. Dre, Weeknd, Rihanna, Usher, fire. So now I kind of think like, where can you go from here? Like, in my opinion, and based on the location that it's going to be at next year, I think it's going to be Lil Wayne.
I think it got to be Lil Wayne. Now,
either you go Lil Wayne, you go Drake, or Beyonce. Those are the only options at this point. And then you just gotta let someone else take over the halftime because they're not gonna be able to top it.
I think that actually his contract ends this year. I think this year might have been his last year, or maybe next year. When I was looking at it, because I was doing a little research to it, it was a 5-year deal. It seems that it was put into action after 2019, so that was the year of Maroon 5. So
Ah,
yes, Shakira and J-Lo would have probably been his first one. So if that's the case, then we're
damn.
talking maybe this next year might be his last one.
If
But
not
yeah,
this one being his last one.
huh?
If not this year being his last one, the one that just
Yeah,
happened.
either this one or next year's gonna be his last one.
Ugh.
I got to go ahead and take a look a little further. But either way,
Yeah.
I
Halftime
definitely
show about
think,
to be dry if it ain't
yeah,
over.
they better go ahead and re up on that deal.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think that for Louisiana, they come on, man, they got to give Lil Wayne at least
Yeah.
one. He got some bangers. He got some bangers. I think that ultimately that's
It-
going to be
yeah.
which call. But I don't know when do they usually announce this Super Bowl halftime of who's going to be it. It's
I
not the year
don't know when they
before.
announced
I feel like it was
Usher.
when was that announced? I feel like that was not announced until like
No,
way
it,
late in
it
the
was
season.
it was a announced, yeah, definitely about midway December-ish. I know it was at least made that information was made available in January because I would see all the Usher commercials about it. Yeah, that's a good question.
I'm gonna look it up.
But yeah.
Listen, I'm gonna look that up.
And while you talking about while you looking that information up, let's talk about Usher being on one at him and Alicia Keys at the halftime show. That was there was a lot of energy going on up there.
Yeah,
If
it,
you
it
get
was
what I'm saying,
it was giving my old boo type of energy out
right?
there.
My boo for real, right?
It's giving
My
that
I
energy
ain't
that
seen you in 5 years, but I see you at homecoming.
yes, exactly what I said.
Like,
It's giving that like, hey girl, what's up? I ain't seen you in a minute. How you
let me.
been?
He was giving me. Let me get my hug energy out there.
Yeah,
Like,
you know that you gotta get that deep hug. It's giving that like
he
you
was
ain't come
giving
over
that.
here. What's up? You acting weird
He
now.
was giving that talk like you know it was supposed to be me and you, right? That had
Yep,
that baby.
yep. Yep.
That man was wild and putting his hand in places that he shouldn't have gone to a married woman live in front of
Mhm.
millions, in front of children.
Nah,
But
but
this
let me not fuck around. Swiss was
yeah,
like, man, y'all worry about the wrong things out here. Swiss
right.
like, man, I'm confident in mine, and no shot
Right.
to
He's like,
him.
I
It's all
got this
jokes.
covered over here, Playboy. You
But
know what I
as
mean?
far as the announcement, look, it's usually announced like it looked like Usher's was announced in September, so you probably
Mm.
have to wait till September to go ahead and see that.
Okay.
But I think that ultimately, I'm if we're going since we talking about halftime shows, I
Yeah.
think that Lil Wayne is kind of the dead ringer for it, and I
Mm-hmm.
think that ultimately they have to do a few things during that Super Bowl. So I'm not too sure if they probably had a Super Bowl since Katrina, but I feel like they're gonna do like a tribute to Katrina type of thing. Like I wouldn't be surprised to do something like that.
So I got a question about the Super Bowl. Does it like rotate between all of the stadiums, or is it just the new stadiums?
So it's rotation throughout select few stadiums. The
Mm.
last Super Bowl they had at the Cold Stadium, I think, was the Giant Stadium. Now I don't think they ever going back there. So I think that there's like a rotation. I want to
Mm.
say now that they have these newer stadiums that they're going to be opening the rotation up a little bit more, maybe.
Yeah.
But they also like I actually learned like I don't know if I told y'all this, but there's actually criteria you have to have in order to be even eligible to host the Super Bowl.
Mm.
Like, and apparently, having a golf course is one of them. So
Really?
if you ain't got a golf course, you ain't gonna have no Super Bowl.
Where the fuck they got the golf course at?
So like your area that you're having your Super Bowl, you have to have a golf course. So
That's some weird shit.
not directly in the stadium area, but ultimately within
Was it like
reasonable
a event
distance.
leading up for it for like a charity event?
No, these are billionaires. What the fuck you think they're doing? Playing
Like
golf.
I don't
They
know.
they playing golf. But yeah, like you have to go. I'm gonna
That's
pull that up.
crazy.
But there's actual criteria to in order for you to go ahead and host. Let
Mm,
me go ahead and pull that up. I'm about to tell you right now. It was
crazy.
actually all right. So this is what I see here when they talk about Hold on 1 second because I believe. So they say like one of the criteria is that they have to at least have a minimum of 70,000 seats. Like you got to have at least 70,000 seats available. I'm
Hmm.
trying to go ahead and pull up some other stuff. 1 second. So, sorry, I'm just trying to go ahead and pull this thing up. I saw something. All
Now,
right,
while
but
he,
yeah,
okay, you got it.
yeah, I do. So there must be at least 35,000 parking spaces available within a 1 mile radius of the stadium.
Yikes!
So yeah, of course, the warm versus cold city. That's not really a criteria, but of course they're gonna potentially pick a warmer stadium. Of course, newer stadiums are more attractive. They state uh, city amenities. So, for example, I know that one of the things I saw was like they have to have a certain amount of hotel space. Like that's
Mm,
definitive for them to even host it. You have to have a certain amount of hotel space. I saw courses being one of them. There's a bunch of shit that you actually have to do in order for you to win that bid to even have a Super Bowl.
mm.
So that's why it's usually a little bit of a rotation because the fact is that ultimately not too many
That's
cities have
ass.
opportunity.
Philly ain't
So
gonna ever have a fucking Super Bowl here
yeah,
ever.
it's
That
tough.
city's too congested. Yep.
It's tough to get that. So ultimately, it's dope that they have somewhat of a criteria, but yeah, it's just so they say like the league requires exclusive access to three top quality 18-hole area golf courses at no cost. So so not only do you have to have that, you also have to go
The rich
ahead
stay
and
richer. They don't gotta pay for shit.
then you gotta have use of two top quality bowling alleys. That's also free housing. So the city must host the host city must provide 43-bedroom, 52-bedroom, 21-bedroom apartments for 30-day stays for
For
working staff.
who?
For working staff such as
Ah,
production and security. So yeah,
I'm
and
about to
the
work at a
apartments
Super Bowl. Niggas gonna pay for
and
me?
and the apartments must be a 20-minute drive from the stadium. So
Mm.
not only you need to have that, you also have to be within 20 minutes of it. I'm not gonna go through the whole list, but either way, it's a lot of shit. It's a lot of shit that goes along with it.
I'm about
Yeah.
to take a month off from January to February next year and be an event staff for the Super Bowl since shit all paid for.
Yes, like that's crazy.
Mm.
But yeah, it's dope because you gotta realize that this is like the most watched event in North America type of shit. So
Yeah.
it makes sense. Aside from soccer, of course, they watch that when the World Cup goes on, which I
Yeah.
believe is actually here this year too. I think it's at the Giant Stadium.
Was it the Giants Stadium?
Uh, the World Cup, I think, is at the Giant Stadium this year. So I might actually
Interesting.
spin the block around that if I'm not
When is that
mistaken.
in the summertime?
Yes, I want to say summertime.
Got
Makes
it.
sense. But yeah,
All
let's get
right.
back on track. My fault for
Yeah,
for
yeah, you're
deviating
good.
so much.
She wasn't a part of the halftime show, but she did make a commercial. The GOAT Beehive Beyonce made a debut in the Verizon commercial, as well as debuting two new songs off of her. We're anticipating a new project, a country album. Have you heard the songs, and what do you think about Beyonce now crossing over to another genre of music?
So I don't honestly listen to Beyonce, so I can't really go ahead and make comment. I know people want to crucify me for that,
Don't let
but
the
I don't.
Twitter people see that.
I don't really listen to Beyonce like that. I respect her craft. She's a great artist, but for me, it's just it's just not my thing. You know, it's just that no, she has some bangers, but I can't go ahead and make a comment on what she did with this one. Honestly speaking,
Listen, I listen to him. I'm not mad at him. She gave us a pretty good. Uh, would we consider the last one like an electric? Not electric, but like it was more pop, and I think it was a like
it's
what
electric.
what do we consider that? Let me see if it has it because I don't think it was just necessarily just pop for album with Break My Soul, the Renaissance album. Let me go check it out real quick.
So, is Beyonce considered? Well, I'm assuming I'm answering my own question, but she's considered a pop artist, not R&B. Is that correct? I would think that I would
That's a
think
good
that she's
question.
considered a pop more than R&B.
That was a pop album. Her first few albums were R&B albums.
More R&B.
So yeah, she started transitioning to pop maybe um What's the album with Flawless on it? Flawless.
You asking the wrong. You asking the wrong guy.
Beyonce album. Self-titled album. Let me see.
And I was gonna say that it's so crazy when I really
Damn, they
reflect on
consider
it.
limit. It's hard how they consider albums what genre. Like, does the user submit like what genre that they're going into? Because like,
I don't know.
it's Lemonade is considered a pop album. I can't give you a pop song on that album. Like,
That's a good question.
what is pop even considered? Like, I know pop is it supposed to be like popular? Like,
Yeah, I know pop is like considered like pop,
everything is considered pop. Then if that's the case, who wouldn't want to make popular music? if that's the definition of what pop, the category pop is, who wouldn't want to make popular music? That's so subjective, right? So like with Lil Nas X, like was his album even really considered a country album? Because I feel like he was rapping on it. Like some of that was rap. So how we?
I don't listen. I don't know. I don't really.
What
like,
is pop music?
Does it matter if you put as long as you put an accent on it? Does that create it now country, or I don't know? Maybe it's the subject matter.
Yeah, get the fuck out of here. I'm gonna read the definition of what pop music is. Pop music is a genre of popular music that originated in its modern form during the mid 1950s. Blah 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 blah. Pop music encompassed rock and roll in the youth-oriented styles and influence. What rock and roll influence was on Beyonce's album?
I think that more so that's not so much as like literal rock and roll. Like it's not like that, but I think that because you gotta think about it, there's different sections of rock and roll. Like there, there's that hard metal stuff, and then we have like Elvis Presley's rock and roll. So like it does split down a little bit more. So I guess like the less intense it get, and the more like it gets more, I guess, for lack of better words, consumable to the masses. That creates it as a pop.
So I think what it really should be pop should be a subcategory. So like category one, like her main category is R&B, but subcategory popular. I don't think pop should be a category because who doesn't make music to be popular? That's the dumbest shit. That's the dumbest shit.
I guess. I think that ultimately, I don't know. Well, I can't even say that because the fact is, people do make songs that is such a that's such a good question because the fact
they need to eliminate pop as the category.
Yeah, I think that it's becoming it's antiquated to the point that it doesn't really fit what we are describing as pop. Because the fact is,
right,
you could have an R&B inspiration, but it's pop because the fact is,
you know what I think. You know where I think pop comes into like boy band. So like I think NSYNC and like Backstreet. Is it Backstreet Boys?
Yeah.
Backstreet Boys, yeah.
Those are pop. They're considered pop.
They were pop, right? But what other category would you fit them outside of pop, right? That's what I consider pop. That's my definition. Not that they're popular, but pop in the sense that they don't fit anywhere else.
Maybe that's a good way to go ahead and categorize pop. It's just a generic category for music that isn't tailored towards rhythm and blues or rock and roll or rap. It slides into the pop category. Maybe that's why it's called
like Lady Gaga. That's pop.
But
Beyonce,
I'm
pop.
pretty sure that's probably where it derived from. Is just the fact is that it's music that doesn't fit into the categories of rock and roll and blues or jazz or now hip hop or metal. I'll
tell you one thing:
pop music.
Beyonce is not a pop artist. Her last album might have been.
Because I think that ultimately she's a pop icon, and she is considered the queen of pop. So but they say queen of R&B. I don't know, but either way,
I don't know. I don't know if she's a queen of R&B. We might have to debate that another day.
Yeah, that might be. That's a good question. Yeah.
But let's get moving along. The two albums was fired. 16 Characters and I forgot what the other one was called. But they're available on Apple Music. Go in whatever streaming platform you use. All right. Another topic that I wanted to kind of like touch on real quick is regarding other podcasts. So when did we start originally recording like our first rendition of Faded and X Rated.
I'll
Was
give
it
you
even called
around
Faded and X
one.
Rated back then?
No, it wasn't. But it was around 2017, 2018-ish.
Yeah, I say about 2018 when we got a little our foot in a bit in Delaware. No, 2018?
It was like 2018 because I want to
2018,
say
2019, I'd say. 2018, 2019. I think 2019.
I
I
can
think
tell you.
2019.
But yeah, continue what you're about to say though.
Yeah, so
I'll
like
let you know what it is.
the podcast game is just like so many people are in the podcast game now, right? So, and I'm not mad at it because I think each person like has an ability to like to tell stories on like whatever kind of works for them, right? So let's talk about some of the newer podcasts, right? So you got Club Shay Shay, even though I think that's been probably for like 2 years, but I think it just more recently became more popular because of Cat Williams and all that. You got the Nightcap with him and Ocho. That's a fairly new show. You got Carmelo just started a new podcast with one of the dudes. I forget what the fuck his name is. Jesus Demero, whatever that show was.
Jesus Romero?
Yeah, one of those dudes is on the show with Mello. So they talking about like random shit, random sports shit. You got Cam and Mace. That's my favorite podcast right now. You know, we from New York, Mount Vernon, right near Harlem. So Cam Dipset was my niggas back in the day. So Mace is always good music to play, all that.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to know your thoughts on like about these celebrities starting these podcasts as like another way to like extend their careers, right? Because like we know Cam is still making music. I don't think Mace is, but like just to kind of thrive in podcasting now. Like I guess what's your like outside of ours? What's your favorite podcast that you listen to? And like,
Okay, no, I can definitely
yeah,
answer
let's
that.
go with that. Yeah.
So first off, I want to correct you. So we did start in 2018 because I remember us making one of our live streams during the Super Bowl when we were watching the Rams. That was
Mm-hmm.
2019. So that was February 2019. So we definitely
Yeah.
were in 2018.
Yeah,
But
2018.
either way you slice it, as far as my favorite podcast right now, I don't know if I have one per se.
Yeah.
I used to listen to a bunch of different podcasts back when. I loved Brilliant Idiots. Shout out them. They were like the real first podcast I really got into.
True.
With Charlemagne and Schultz. It was good. It kind of waned on me after a point in time.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if we won't consider, I guess, Undisputed a podcast, even though they had a podcast type platform when it would not be on TV. If you listen to it on Apple, I guess it's a podcast. Yeah. But either way, I don't necessarily have a favorite podcast right now. I do enjoy Mason Cam shit because it's hilarious. But I think right now it's because the fact is the way my life is set up right now. Right now, I'm like kind of listening to more so clips on podcasts rather than the full podcast episode.
Gotcha.
But I think that I don't know if I did say this, but I guess right now, currently as it stands right now, my favorite podcast, if I had to choose one, will probably be Gil's Arena. Gil's Arena is hilarious.
Really? I've never really got into it like that.
Him and McCant's arguments are hilarious because Gil, he be like as funny, as goofy as it is and how forgetful he is. I think Gil, he's definitely made for the podcast niche. That's his lane. Definitely, it's his lane, and he thrives in it. And he'll have moments where I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Ultimately, I enjoy basketball. I loved basketball as a kid, but it definitely hits a little different when you have a guy who is as animated as Gil is, but as insightful into the game as he is. So it isn't just simply, I'm talking about basketball and talking X and O's, talking about basketball, but I'm also talking about the funny shit that comes along with basketball because we know Gil's pass and everything like that.
Yeah.
But I think as far as the game of podcasts, and once again, not to denigrate anybody or talk down on anybody, it isn't made for anybody or made for everybody. Shit, true. People might think it's not made for us, but ultimately it isn't made for anybody and for everybody more so.
Yeah.
So the reason why I say that is that there are certain people who do bring a live character to themselves on their podcast, and it's going to speak to certain people depending upon where you're from. That geographically, that could go ahead and play an impact into the podcast you select, where you are mentally or emotionally at the point when you listen to podcasts, or it could be just based upon the relationship that you may have with a person that's on a podcast. So, for
Right.
example, like you said with Mace and Cam, them being from New York, and it's easy for me to go ahead and gravitate to what they're saying because the fact is I could be like, oh shit, I know that, like
Yeah.
based on the fact is we from the same geographical location. I can listen to a person like Gil because the fact is that Gil's personality is a person that I can say that if I met Gil on the street, me and Gil would be cool as shit. I think that he's a funny ass guy. He's a real comical guy, but he isn't comical in the sense that he's an annoying person.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that once again, the podcast game is definitely niched out where it is tailored to your specific audience and going ahead and sticking with it. You know, I think that a lot of these podcasts now, or some of these podcasts now, they focus too much on, I guess, for lack of better words, combativeness as opposed to tackling whether it be real issues or having just fun with it. Like you can't
Yeah.
be combative. Like I personally don't want to go ahead and name names out there, but there are podcasts out there that are simply out there to go ahead and shit on other people, whether it be a certain demographic or a certain gender, or whatever case may be. They are just simply out there to do that, and it's just like, yeah, it may be hot for now, and it may get a couple clicks now, but in the long haul, it isn't productive conversation. It isn't productive. It isn't fun. Like there's a reason why people can gravitate to the Mason Cam podcast is because it is lighthearted. It isn't meant to go ahead and talk down upon people. It's just literally conversation, and I think that that's where the best podcasts are, is where it's conversational as opposed to targeted attacks at people.
Right. So, like, I would consider our podcast the most closely associated with like Mason Cam joint because like they'll be on there, nigga be like, they'll be talking about the game that happened last night. Nigga be like, man, I didn't even watch that game.
Yeah, it's real.
Because like, why are we faking the funk, right? Like
Fact.
like they're a sports podcast, right? But they don't need to cover every sport, every game. Like they need to cover what they want to cover and give their opinion on it, because that's all it really is, right? Because like, what facts can we can all right we can go through the stat line, but no one wants to hear that shit. You can check that easily on ESPN. You want to hear their opinion on, is Steph Curry nice? Why Draymond thinking he a fucking thug? Yada yada yada, that type of shit. And like, it's funny that we bring up the Cam joint because like I remember when before Cam and them started the show, the nigga was it was when Ben Gordon got arrested. I believe Cam was on a corner as like a like a news reporter, like fucking giving us the play by play of what just happened with Ben Gordon.
Yeah, I remember that.
And
shit.
I was like, this nigga should go into podcasting. And lo and behold, here we are now.
Like you said, like you said, there's certain people that you just like, yo, yes, they are made for just based on like Shay was made for podcasting because the fact is ultimately his energy translates through the mic. You know, ultimately it translates.
You know who I don't think is for podcasts, and I haven't heard his shit yet. I don't think Dwayne Wade should be in podcasting. That's just my opinion. You know, I got nothing against Dwayne Wade. He's a great basketball player, but I don't know what he can kind of relate with like, because I heard his advertisement on one of the other shows I was listening to, and I'm like, he's talking about these certain guests. What are y'all going to talk about that I want to hear? You know what I mean? Like, what type of conversation is going to happen? Like, you don't give me that personality like how Shannon Sharp does, right? Like on Carmelo joint, and I only seen a clip. He was talking about like his career throughout the NBA. That doesn't sound like what Dwayne Wade is trying to accomplish. Again, it probably will be successful because he has the connections to get to speak with people we can't. So it'll probably end up being more conversation than what I can imagine right now. But I would love to hear you talk more about basketball and like the shit that you went throughout your basketball career versus you sitting down with celebrities because you know the celebrity. You know what I mean? I think that takes away from from those people having more meaningful conversation, because then they'll probably go on another podcast saying the same shit that he's already said on yours. You know what I mean? And I don't think he would necessarily be the best host to host those kind of conversations. It may sound like I'm a hater. I'm not. I'm gonna give it a listen. I give every podcast a listen. I gave Joe Budden shit a listen. I don't just not a fan of Joe Budden because he laugh at his own jokes too much for me. That's just me. Some people love the podcast. I like Tony Baker podcast. He got 2. He got Verbal Cardio. That's probably my most listened to podcast outside of Cam and them. And then he got Daddy's Issues. I like that one too. I listen to a lot of people. One of my favorite podcasts that kind of like got me into wanting to do podcasts. Maybe we was already started, but like this was the one I listened to a lot. It was Righteous and Ratchet.
Oh yes, Righteous and Ratchet.
With Kevin on stage and Billboard.
I don't think I put you on. I think we saw.
I think you did put me on too. You did.
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. Well, it's
you
Kevin.
Did put
which
Kevin on stage and Billboard.
That was a good one. I think
I'm mad them two broke up. That was a good duo.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but shit happens. You know what I mean? Yeah, I listen to a lot of podcasts, so I listen to Gary Owen shit. I listen to Drink Champs. They didn't have. I feel like I haven't heard a Drink Champs one in a while. I'm not sure if they still. I used to listen to Mike Tyson shit, but a lot of things is like I like those shows when it was the original people. So like Mike Tyson has had gone through a change of his co-host. It used to be a player that played in the NFL, and now it's someone else, and now it's just not drawing me in like how it used to with the other one. It's the same with Shaq. Shaq used to have a podcast with a few people from Atlanta, but they shut that down and he made the same show over with new people, and it's just like it's not drawing me in the same way as it was, because I like it just had a better feel, a more like these are my homies. I'm just listening to my homies having a conversation. Now it's just like, all right, whatever. I'm gonna skip past it, but that's just me. Like I've been listening to so many podcasts. Like once I hear a change and like I know it's just not something I want to hear, it's like, all right, you lost me now. It's over.
No, I get you. Like you said, ultimately, you're gonna know within the first few listens whether or not you're gonna really stick with that podcast. I think that ultimately, like you mentioned, that there's 2 formats that you go with the podcast as far as I can think of. Is that ultimately you could have set core with a rotation of people, which is one set of podcasts, like i.e. like a Drink Champs or something along those veins. Because the fact is that they are 2 people that do the podcast, two main hosts, and then they rotate, which is fine. Shannon Sharp does the same thing. It's him, main, and he rotates his guests. That's one format. And the other format is ultimately that if you're going to go ahead, you have 2 main people or how many main people you have, and that's it. Like, I think that ultimately when we are listening to this podcast, we build a relationship with that podcast, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So after that relationship has changed, it's like a recasting of your favorite character on a show. It's like, bro, like, the show is the name of the show, but it's different because now the characters are, the dynamics between the characters is different. And obviously a person is left, there's going to be varying reasons why people do leave, whether it be, amicable because the fact is one person has something different going on in their life, another person isn't looking to do that anymore, or maybe because relationship went sour. But either way,
in the 2 cases I talked about, it was always been like the main person whose show it is was the reason why the other people aren't there. But
I bet that's what it is sometimes.
Would you want to know now? You want to know who was like my favorite special guest on podcast was?
Who?
Wax on Brilliant Idiots. Wax was my favorite nigga when he would just pop up on the podcast. But now that he has his own, this is like now I'm getting too much of. It's just not the same when you were just.
It's like a healthy dose when he was on the podcast. Yeah, I can see that.
Because he would say dumb funny shit, but when you saying dumb funny shit for too long, it's like, all right.
Yes, it becomes mind-numbingly dumb. I know exactly what you're referring to.
I was like, all right, now.
It's like you said, it's good and small.
And then
doses.
The person he's paired with is like, I don't know if y'all 2 make a good dynamic. I mean, they still got the podcast going, so people listen to it. So maybe again, that's just my preference. Like we all have our preference of what we like to listen to, what we like to engage with. So again, just my preference.
All right.
Yeah, to move us along, we're gonna try to stay within that hour 15 marks. I'll kick it over to two more topics. We got NBA All Star Weekend this weekend in Indianapolis. Yeah, that's a weird spot to have it, right? I don't like. Do they rotate to every uh place where a team is? Because Indiana, I mean,
Yeah, I think that they do. I think the NBA does a bit of a different rotation for hosting.
yeah.
I don't think they really have much in the realm of restrictions. They could do it. They do
Mm.
it wherever they want to do it because
It's
I
like,
think
what
about it.
can you do in Indianapolis though? That's why I'm like,
They got strip clubs. They got
yeah. I
strip
mean,
clubs.
yeah, really,
But I
yeah.
heard
I wonder
Indianapolis
if
is set.
I wonder if
Well,
they
I
gotta
heard.
have the golf court,
Oh,
the
no,
golf
they ain't
court.
got that. But I know that Indianapolis. I heard that it's the gutter. I heard they got some shit going on out there.
Shit.
I heard it's a little
I
ratchet.
wonder if they ever had it in Detroit. 'Cause Detroit get crazy, but
Yeah, that I don't know if they're gonna have. That's a good question. I don't think they got. I don't think you. I think it'd be crazy if one of the criteria. Well, I can't say that because they had it in Charlotte, but one of the criteria to host it is that you had to have a winning record to go ahead and host
that's
shit.
crazy.
That would be nuts.
Because don't they put that out in a year in advance, right? Or like, is it like boom right now? We know who the bottom tier teams. So like, are they already written off for next year, or? Because
Mm-hmm.
that is a good point. Because like, when is the cutoff time? Like, boom, you got to be within this record by so and so to qualify to be for All Star Weekend.
That's a good
I don't
question.
know.
I don't know, but yeah, that would be.
This
I'm
All
saying
Star
it would be
week,
funny. It would be
this
funny if that
All
was the
Star
case.
Weekend about to be trash. I don't know who's in the dunk contest. Oh, I don't know if there's a full 3-point contest. I just know it's Steph versus the Sabrina girl. Like, is there a full 3-point contest this year?
I think they just need to do a kind of a rebranding of the
I'm,
soup of it a
uh,
little bit. I feel like they need to go ahead
this
and kind of do a little different shit. I think that they should. This is one of my opinions about the NBA All Star Weekend. I think they need to go ahead and step away from the dunk contest. I think the dunk contest needs to be not annual, maybe biannual every 4 years, like an Olympic type of shit. The reason being is that we aren't seeing, at least for me, we ain't seeing shit that's new. And when you're not seeing shit that's new or shit that's impressive, it kind of like diminishes the product, so to speak.
Listen, I tell you one thing: the nigga that was doing new and exciting shit, they made him lose twice. Nigga, that's about that shit.
Was my Aaron Gordon?
Yes,
Yeah, they did.
made that man lose twice. Have they?
I think it was cooked. I think it was cooked for me after they gave Blake Griffin that championship, that dunk contest champion, when he jumped over the hood of a fucking Kia. At that point, I was like, "You motherfuckers is out of your goddamn mind." I think a regular Olympic long jumper could jump. Well, I think a normal person could jump over a car. Now dunking, yeah, but no, I don't think that was the toughest task in the world for a person to dunk the ball as often as he does. So yeah, that's just me. I didn't really like that.
So instead of a dunk contest, what do you have? They haven't done like a horse competition, right? Or am I just bugging? I feel like
They have done in the past.
they
I just don't
have,
know.
right?
I don't feel like they
That's
have.
what I think. That's what I would consider like in lieu of not doing the dunk contest, right? Have some of your best shooters, right? I guess, yeah, your best shooters, because it would be a shooting. Or do you put it in the mixture? Like you can shoot, or you can do this crazy dunk that the next
I
person
think
got.
it's got to be a mixed blend.
Yeah.
Now, whether I think that it should be a mixed blend, and I guess the qualifier would have to be that perfect. I know qualify right now. You got to be in the top 10 of scoring in the NBA in order for you to be able to participate in the horse contest. Because if you're not, then you're not really, like, granted, you could be a center and have a bunch of points. But at the end of the day, I think that we have evolved the NBA so well now that you have to actually have a little bit of a bag in order to be one of the top scorers in the league. And that kind of ups the ante a little bit because the fact is different players play different ways. And also you got to make it so that you can't repeat the same shot, of course. Like you got to go ahead and like, all right, bro, You took a 3 ball. You got to go ahead and have certain criteria. You got to go ahead and shoot at least a midi. You got to shoot maximum 3 threes or some shit. Like you got to go ahead and be creative with it.
Yeah.
So and make more letters. You give people more letters for the difficulty of the try or something like that. There's ways to spice it up. But I just think the dunk contest is a little tired at this point. I don't think that it's as hype as it used to be.
You know what? I think they also need to go back to. They need to go back to. Did they go back to East versus West this year, or are they still doing the fucking drafting bullshit?
I think they're still doing the draft. I actually was just looking at it. Let me go ahead and tell you right now.
They need to take away the captain shit. They need to let niggas wear their actual team's jerseys.
That's what they need.
They doing They doing a lot, right? Let it be East versus West again. If it's not already, I think they might have went back this year.
Yeah, I'm about to say this year is the first year they just went back to it. So thank God for that.
Don't bring out no fancy all-star jerseys. Let niggas wear they jersey. Whoever's away, wear their away jerseys for if it's West, East. Let them wear their home jerseys, whatever. Those were fire. Like the simple shit was the fire shit. They putting too much into shit and ruining shit.
Yeah, I think that ultimately that East versus I think like you said, the East versus West is definitely the best format to go to, and ultimately go back to the jersey situation. Like, if anything, I know what I would love for them to do is that your team, if you're gonna go ahead and be in the All-Star contest or the All-Star game or so, you have to wear like a team throwback jersey. That'd be tough. Like you can't don't wear no modern shit. Wear whatever jersey you want. It could be a throwback jersey. You wear for whatever the fuck you want to wear. That would be tough.
The old school Golden State jerseys is fire too.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
Like those. Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying it because the fact is I want to see the old school Phoenix and old school Grizzly jerseys. That's the reason why.
I was thinking the Jazz shits. I was thinking the Jazz.
Tough. But yeah, I just think that, like you said, get rid of that. I think they gotta go ahead and kind of dumb it down a little bit and get rid of certain shit because the All-Star weekend is definitely lacking. I'm happy that, like, we're talking about All-Star games. I'm happy that the NFL kind of went back to, changed up their shit. They actually realized that we weren't watching that game because it was not the same game. But I know also I'm pretty sure they're still doing it, but they need to go ahead and get some better stars in the celebrity game. I feel like, or at least have
I don't want to see no damn streamers. I'm tired of seeing these streamers everywhere, bro.
Like I need to see some people out there. Like
right. Let me see. Back in the day, niggas used to have like Bow Wow and shit and doing stuff. I don't know half the people that you got at the Celebrity All-Star games. Who are these people?
Listen, I don't know none.
Not people that kids know. Who we as adults need to be able to say, "Oh, I know who this person is." I don't know these niggas. I had to Google a bunch of people on the list.
Yeah, they need to go ahead. Like that's another thing. Like I said, they need to go ahead and alter and really look into. But yeah, I feel like those things need to be changed. I think it's a good idea to always keep things fresh. After it gets a little stagnant and stale, you got to go ahead and figure out ways to rebrand and rethink it because we as fans are not becoming excited for these things anymore. It's not as exciting. So it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting to see what they do this year. Yeah, I just want to see what's going on. But speaking of the All-Star Weekend, I just want to give like the quick roster. Okay, that's last year's roster. Let me see if I can get you the roster of this 2024 team because let's see who we got. Let's see what we use that. Sorry, I'm just trying to make sure I have this correctly in front of me. And while we're doing that, what do you think about this NBA season thus far? Where we at before the All-Star break?
Right now, my favorite to win it all is the LA Clippers.
Okay.
They've been hot with all their players there. I think that lineup that they have, Kawhi, PG, Harden, if they all stay healthy and West coming off the bench, I don't think anyone really can stop them. Lakers, the trade deadline has passed, right? Or is it next week?
You asked the wrong guy.
I think they're done. I hate the play-in situation. That's the dumbest shit ever. But that's besides the point. Who on the East do I like? That's hard to say right now, right? Because I mean, I think we would all can all say probably the favorite right now is Boston.
Yeah,
You would
Boston's
think
okay.
you would think the Bucks on paper, but they just can't seem to get it going.
No
Dame
cohesion. It looked like.
Dame Lillard is not performing like Portland Dame Lillard. So
I
this,
think he's trying to fit into that scheme, and that this stuff's not working. I don't
yeah,
know.
but his shooting days just be off. I'd be like, oh my god, this nigga can't
can't
even
can't put no bets on him. Can't put no bets
nigga
on
can't
him.
even get 3 bets. This nigga used to shoot for like 5, 6 every other day in Portland. This nigga can't get 3.
Yeah, no, that sucks. But I definitely got the roster so far.
Yeah.
There's some okay names. This is
I heard
2024.
a jerk.
So if I'm not mistaken, they actually okay. So they have Shannon Sharp and Stephen A. Smith as the coaches, apparently. So
The celebrity game.
yes, it seems like the celebrity game. So
That's
they have,
tonight. That's probably right now.
this today?
Yeah, 16th. Yeah.
Okay, maybe.
That should
Well,
start. It might be over. That shit over. It started at 7:00.
yeah. See, no, wouldn't even know. Well, they got Kai. They had
I hate that nigga. I'm tired. I'm tired. Let me not say I hate him. I'm tired of seeing him everywhere.
they got Connor Daly, who's an IndyCar driver. They have Walker Hayes, who's a country artist. They got Quincy Isaiah. Essence is probably the only celebrity I'd be like, okay, I like that idea.
From
Quincy
Snowfall.
Isaiah plays Magic Johnson in the Winning Time show. I don't know if you've seen Winning Time. Good show.
That's not a nigga. Wait, that's not a nigga. That's not a nigga from Snowfall.
Who? No, Quincy. Who would you think Quincy Isaiah?
What's the nigga with the fro at the end? The last episode, who had the braids?
Oh, you talking about? No.
His name
Leon.
Leon. Yeah.
Nah, that's not Lil Leon.
Yikes! That's what I thought this was the whole time. Like, they got my nigga from Snowfall in there. Okay.
Nah, that's my boy Magic Johnson. My boy Magic Johnson right there. I actually like that because the fact that Winning Time's a good show. They got Micah Parsons. They got Jewel Lloyd, who plays for the Seattle Storm. Shout out to her. They got Lily Singh. I don't know who that is. They got Sir the rapper. I mean, yeah, the singer-songwriter. Dylan Wang. Okay, Chinese actor. But yeah, Stephen A. Smith's team.
Yeah, Jennifer Hudson play.
First off, they already fucked up. This is where they already fucked up with this team. For Stephen A. Smith's team. First play on the roster. Meta World Peace. What the fuck?
Oh shit.
Why is he playing in the Celebrity All-Star game? Or whatever, dude. They got Jack Ryan. He's a street baller and a basketball entertainer who does juggling tricks with basketballs. So already they put CJ Stroud. They got who else? They got.
Why is Miko Hardman on there?
I guess they had another football player.
That must have been a late ad because I think he was not on that list before.
Oh shit!
He must have just got from the woman in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it must be. Gianmarco Tenberry, Italian high jumper. Adam Blackstone, Natasha Cloud, she plays for the WNBA. Jennifer Hudson, Kristen Jast, social media personality, don't know who that is. AJ McLean. Oh, I know AJ is from Backstreet Boys. Okay. Kwame Onuchi. I'm sorry if I butchered your name. He's a chef. And yeah, that's pretty much the roster. I don't understand why Stephen A. Smith has 3 athletes, 2 of which who are playing in their prime, I think, at this point. But yeah, that's a setup for failure. You literally gave a basketball player to a celebrity team, like not just any basketball player. My man, Meta World Peace. Yeah, that's something. It's a good way to start.
Yeah,
but yeah, I'm pretty sure. If we can take a look at that, I'm pretty sure that Stephen A. Smith's team probably won that.
In all honesty, these niggas could cancel the NBA All-Star Weekend. It's just more for the fans to be around the celebrities at the end of the day. Because the celebrity game is ass. Again, I don't know what's going on with this 3-point contest. If it's just Steph versus Sabrina, you might as well bring Caitlin Clark.
I was about to say, that's what they should have did. But
she pulling up the logos. breaking
I
records.
would say pull up somebody like Caitlin Clark up or something.
You might as well have niggas from the G League do the dunk contest. They gonna give you all. They gonna give it they all.
Mm-hmm.
Just like Cousin did last year, because he had a pretty good dunk contest last year. Dude, that
Who you
was on
talking about?
the white dude.
Oh,
What was his
the
name?
guy from the G League, the white
He-
guy.
yeah, he was in the Sixers for a bit. Yeah, him.
Got you. Okay,
He he
Puka dunked during the Celebrity All Star game.
Puka's in it.
Yeah, apparently he was in it. I didn't know that. They put
Yeah, I
him on
didn't
the
see that
roster.
on the list. He's a late
Late
last
dishes,
minute
right?
addition.
They need to get some star power there. My man,
All
he
right.
dunked one hand jammer too. Okay, shout out to him. But
Yeah.
yeah, they definitely. I think the NBA definitely needs to go ahead and probably retool it. Like you said, All Star Weekend. That's for
Shit. They need to
it should
they
be
need
for
to bring
fans,
the
but it's
and
not
one
tailored.
niggas. Let the and one niggas come in and put on a show. They'll give
Whew.
that'll be more entertainment than what we've been seeing. But
Yeah,
we're gonna change the topics real quick. So I got a question today before we get up out of here. What is your most underrated animated voiceover villain?
most underrated.
Yes,
All right, so when we
because
say
like we know right now, like if we talk about an animated villain, niggas gonna say Scar, which is my boy from fuck is his name from Die Hard, right? He does the voice of
yes,
Scar. Yeah,
is it Jeremy Irons? It's Jeremy Irons. I don't know if it's from
Jeremiah.
Die Hard.
Yes. He's
Okay,
from Die Hard with Vengeance.
okay.
So
Underrated villain, animated villain. That's a good question. I know that it's not
mhm.
going to be. I can't go ahead and say that it's Joker. What's his name? Mark Hamill. You go first. Now let me go ahead and think.
Sure, I got you. Give me one sec. I just gotta get his name. I can tell you what movie it's from, and I can tell you who plays the voice, but I don't know what the fuck his name was in the movie. So his name was Thrax. Thrax from Osmosis Jones. Lawrence Fishburne. That's probably my most underrated voice. I feel like he fits the voice so perfectly, and like we often forget that. And I'm not even sure a lot of people knew that was Lawrence Fishburne that voiced over Thrax. Also, probably one of my top five animated movies.
I ain't gonna lie. I thought that was Ice T for a moment.
Nah, Ice T.
Yeah, in my head, in my mind state, when I think of I know who you're talking about. The red villain. I just can't.
Yeah.
I just thought it was I don't know why in my head. Like if you say like yo, who was in Osmosis Jones? Because it's Chris Rock, right? Chris Rock was
Chris Rock
Osmosis.
is Osmosis. Yeah.
I
You
don't
got
know
Bill
who
Murray
played.
is
I don't know
the
who played
live action.
Dritz, but I swore I in my mind, my child mind, I could think of Ice T being the voice, but it's actually now I'm starting to think about the dialogue. It was Lawrence Fishburne. I do remember that now. That's actually a good villain. That's actually a really good slept on villain that I forgot even was a villain for a second. That was a tough movie. Nasty ass egg. He deserved to die for eating that damn egg off the fucking ground. Fucking idiot.
Not say he deserved to die.
he's,
That's all.
he's tweaking. Why would you monkey
Yeah,
put the shit in his mouth and you go?
he was wilding.
He
He
was
claimed the
wilding.
anti outbreak. He was
My
wilding.
man, that's how HB. That's how HIV started right there. Right there, just like that. Sorry, I'm sorry for those who are afflicted with that disease. I'm just joking. I do apologize. But either way, yeah, he was wild for eating that egg. But I don't know if I have an underrated villain because I'm just thinking about it. Because the fact is, I think that when I think of animated villains, the one that pops in my head is, of course, Mark Hamill as the Joker in the Batman series. Like
Okay.
that laugh was just iconic. So I can't say that he's underrated because I think everybody respects that as a villain.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I really have that as a villain. I don't know. I really can't answer that question.
Let me go through my library of animated movies and start throwing out some villains for you. 1 second.
Yeah, now I think about it, I'm just like,
Animation. Let's see.
trying to think about who was snotty and people.
Who's the villain from Aladdin? I don't know his name.
Jafar. I don't know who that is. My man Jafar. Nigga,
Jafar.
he was on my nigga Aladdin neck.
Damn, is
was
there many villains from
What from what?
animated movies?
Yeah. Well, every Disney movie got a
Lord
villain.
Farquaad.
Lord Farquaad.
He was a villain. That
Yeah.
nigga was
Snapped
Godmother.
He snapped my man
Was
Gingy legs off.
Godmother definitely was filthy.
I ain't gonna lie. No, I think I might go with. I'll think about it. I think I might go with Syndrome from The Incredibles. I might go with him. He really was. I ain't gonna lie. He really he's the dumbest supervillain ever. Because the fact is, you can actually say that he actually had a power the entire time. He actually was super fucking smart.
Yeah.
So I think that his superpower would have been his super intelligence. Because the fact is, you got to think about it. To create a robot that's able to kill superheroes, because the fact is it learns and adapts, you have to have a high intelligence to do that.
Right.
So I think that he's stupid in the sense that ultimately he had a power. It was just super intelligence. The nigga created his own rocket boots like by the age of 10. But I did fuck with him as a villain because the nigga was hilarious. But I think I might go with Syndrome. Syndrome was actually, he was solid. He was solid.
Jason Lee as the voice. That was good.
That's how I'm thinking about it. I don't know who was the voice of Syndrome. I don't remember.
Jason Lee.
Jason. Oh, okay, gotcha. Yep. I see. I know what you're talking about. I see his face in my head. But yeah, Syndrome. My man said you got married to Elastigirl and got busy. Got a little shoulder shrug going. That shit was. Yeah, I got my man Syndrome. That's a good guy. That's a good one. The only thing he wanted to do was just be respected. Snotty niggas. And the way he went out, foul.
His cape got caught. His cape got caught, right?
Yeah, his cape got caught in the jet. At the end, it was talking about, hey, we don't put no more capes on people no more.
Capes.
Right in the turbine.
Batman.
That's a good question today. I like that.
Yeah.
And anything else before we get out?
For that boy good, can you name, let's see, 5 of my Hot Funkos back here? They kind of distorted.
Let me go ahead and take a look at those. I can see Joker. I can see Thanos. That looks like a Loki from the show Loki.
Okay.
There's a Deadpool.
Yep.
And I can't really see that.
So you got 1, 2, 3. You got 4. You gotta give me one more.
I'm trying to see the picture on the side. Some of these faces look crazy.
Yeah, I bet.
Like I'm trying to describe that one. Is it? Hold on, they got a mustache. I can't even say that.
Which one?
I say that's like Mike right there. Nah, the one of the bottom 3 with the headband on the middle. Like describe what he got. Describe what that person got on right now.
He got a headband on.
He got a headband on. What color is the headband? Red, white, and blue.
Is white and red. White and red.
White and red. Does he have a mustache?
He do. he got the Skittle Scott little bang around.
Oh, the goatee.
Yeah, the
goatee. Is that old buddy from Tropic Thunder? Not Tropic Thunder. Flint Tropics. I forgot what this shit's called.
Nah, that's not Coffee Black.
Is that what it's called?
That ain't Coffee Black. That's an NBA. That's a retired NBA player.
The AI? That's not AI because AI don't got a mustache.
That's AI.
He had a goatee at one point?
Yeah, the goatee.
This
nigga got a goatee.
What's to say? I don't know.
That nigga has a goatee. That's how I was saying.
Is that AI? Like, I can't say.
So you got your 5. So this is Marcus Burnett from Bad Boys.
Got you.
We got Lloyd Christmas from Dumb and Dumber.
Okay, got you. Now I know.
You got Andy from 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Does he shirtless?
Yeah, he got that's with the wax.
I just realized what that shit was.
You got Mike Myers, the nigga that continues to haunt me in my dreams and nightmares to this day.
Mike Myers.
Sidney Dean from White Man Can't Jump. Billy Hoy.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. I can see it now.
Vanya from Umbrella Academy, number 5, and this is Stone Cold.
You can't see something like glare on him.
And this is Agatha next to Thanos.
Oh, Agatha from WandaVision.
Yeah. And then
I was trying to see the
you got
hair.
my nigga right here. My favorite villain of all time.
Let me see what that is. My man Pegasus. Pegasus. I didn't know they made a Pegasus. They gotta have a Funko Pop for everything. I need to go get
Yugi Boy, they do. I know the website. Let me know if you look at this.
I got a couple of Funko Pops like from The Office. Like I got my man Stanley, and I think I got Jim. I think I got Michael Scott. Actually, now I think about it. I got a couple of those. Actually, speaking of Funko Pop, shout out to them. You can actually make a custom Funko Pop.
I know.
I'm about to actually make one, so I'm about to actually go ahead and delve into that. Give me a custom Funko Pop. That's actually a good idea. But yeah, you're getting your collection up a little bit.
Yeah,
that shit funny.
These are all from when the pandemic first happened. I ain't get shit since. I need to get back on it, but we'll see.
I could not tell Michael Myers because I've now seen it. His face is pasty as shit, and his white eyes are black as shit. That fucked me up. I was like, what the fuck? Like, what in the fuck
that
is
can
that?
look like a lot of things. You can see his knife a little bit. I mean, I know
now,
he has a knife.
Now I can tell his knife.
I know he has a knife in his hand, but you can see it a little bit.
Yeah, now that I know it's him, I can see it now because like, okay, that has to be a knife in his hand. That's what I made that as nutty. Like, yeah, we're gonna make Michael Myers with a little creepy ass motherfucker.
I got a bunch of other ones up top. They just cut off from the banner.
Got you.
Can't see him. All right, everybody. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Fading X Rated. We'll be back next week with more action for you guys. Stay tuned. Deuces.